I could care less about how they did it. I got to tell you, this team is 4-0. This team is 4-0. They got the job done. The offense looked really good today, and it's been sort of like the opposite problems that they've been facing in the past. When it comes to the defense was not on their A-ball today, and we're going to talk a lot about it. But first of all, I want you guys to know that you're more than welcome to come onto the Discord. It's linked down below. Please make sure that you come on and give your thoughts about this Eagles team, and we'll have a conversation about them, because today was a very, very wonky day. And before I get to any of you guys, all right, I want to just give my thoughts and give a little bit of life with this team. First and foremost, the biggest thing that I noted in my notes is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was phenomenal today. Absolutely on the money. The Dallas Goedert pass that he had, oh my gosh, was that so nice. A.J. Brown, a couple of times, this dude is literally running down the sideline and he's making these terrific catches like it's nothing, and his catches after the yards, it's just unbelievable. What he was able to do out there, he was a playmaker today. I thought that he was absolutely sensational from the get-go of the game, and Jalen Hurts was just so hungry. And even A.J. Brown said after the game, when he was asked about what stood out about Jalen today, he said, quote, that fire. That fire is what stood out. And he kept saying that fire. And I'm thinking to myself, like, as he paused, this is a little bit of a different side of A.J. Brown, and maybe, there's something going on now with the chemistry between him and Jalen Hurts, and that was really cool. He said, quote, Jalen woke up a little bit, and it gave everybody a boost. Most of the time, if the game is on the line, he throws a great ball, he's going to be mellow. But that fire show today and that desire. He handled the game very well, went through his reads, and was taking what they were giving him. And I 1000% agree with everything that he said. Down the stretch of the game, down the guts of the game, he was absolutely on the money. The passes were great. How about that one pass that he threw to Zacchaeus, man? Just the audacity to just literally shoot it right into the breadbasket after Zacchaeus dropped the pass before that. That was absolutely unbelievable. I thought that he showed a lot of flashes of last year's self that he displayed a lot last year when he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and this overall has to be the best game that he has put on this season. That's all I got to say. So, and I want to get to Darpu's comment. Brian Johnson and Sean Desai need to stop with these bad play calls. It's college-level play, calling that only works for college teams that are majorly mismatched, okay? I wanted to get to that. But at the end of the day, there were terrible calls that went Washington's way several times, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But my number one takeaway is Jalen Hurts, because the whole conversation about him this entire season is that something's not right. Something's off. And while I don't think he was bad in the first 3 weeks, I didn't think he was his sharpest, but this game, he was one of the main reasons, if not the main reason why this team was able to get a victory. A.J. Brown today, man, 13 targets, 9 receptions for 175 yards. He continues to be a top guy on this team, and I love it every time he's able to catch the ball, because it seems like it doesn't matter who's on him or who's double-teaming him. Give that rookie cornerback a lot of credit for the Washington Commanders. I don't know why his name is slipping out of my head right now, but he was absolutely unbelievable. And then one thing about Jalen Hurts that I wanted to go back to, and Nick Sirianni was asked about this too. If you were to describe one word about how Jalen Hurts was today, he said clutch. Jalen Hurts has been absolutely clutch, and that was the word that he used, and I thought that was a pretty good word just to sum up how Jalen Hurts was today. He made the big plays when he had to, and understood what he had to do with the ball in certain executional moments. And while the offensive play calling wasn't at its best today, I still do believe that Brian Johnson definitely had some flashes of some good play calls. Let's talk about the running game, because the running game wasn't really the best thing today, and that was the one thing that we saw in weeks 2 and 3 with this team, that they were able to establish the ground and able to establish the run game. That was the one thing that you saw week 2 and in week 3. This week, DeAndre Swift had 14 attempts, and he was able to get 56 rushing yards. Not that much, okay? When you're going up against the Commanders' defensive line led by Chase Young and so many other great guys, it's going to be hard for you to establish the running game. But with that being said, though, there was a time in the third quarter when they literally were just going to Kenneth Gainwell, and I want that to stop so badly. Kenneth Gainwell, with all due respect, is not DeAndre Swift. He's not. And DeAndre had some really nice catches, as a receiver back, and that was pretty cool. I liked how they kind of got him involved in that sort of regard, but I don't want to keep handing the ball to Kenneth Gainwell. Now, he didn't get a lot of carries, but if it's working with DeAndre Swift, why would you not go back to that? Why would you switch that up? I don't know. I have no idea. The O-line did its job. They made a lot of holes for DeAndre Swift to operate, and I liked what Cam Jurgens was able to do. There was one play that he had where he was taken on. I forget who it was. It wasn't. It wasn't Chase Young. It was somebody else. But anyhow, he pushed him right over to the side, and DeAndre had a little bit of a gap, and DeAndre was able to just slide on by his defender right there into that hole, and he went into the secondary and made a really, really nice play as well. So I was not a fan of when they were just handing it off to Kenneth Gainwell in that third quarter. I thought that was a really big rally killer, and I didn't like that at all whatsoever. But just overall, I thought that the running game did not do a good job today, and it was basically about the air game, and the air game was pretty good. It was pretty solid. Dallas Goedert had a couple of really nice catches. That one catch that he had for 17 yards, my gosh, man. He is just absolutely, I think he's a top 5 tight end in the league for sure. I really do. I like how he's able to block, but also just when you put him as a receiver on this team, it just adds another element to this offense. And as I mentioned before, you're not always going to have an A.J. Brown type of a game. You're going to have a DeAndre Swift type of a game. You're going to have a Devontae Smith type of a game. You'll have a Jalen Hurts type of a game. Any of these guys can go off at any time, and that's what makes this team so scary. And the fact that the defense today, and we'll talk about the defense, they just weren't clicking on all cylinders. This team has a lot of levels to them. So I want to talk about the penalties, because the penalties, some of the calls were just absolutely horrendous. Like the Darius Slay one, oh my gosh, dude. Like, absolutely horrible. Yeah, and Darius Slay didn't have the best day today. I got a little nervous when he was going to come out of the game. I thought maybe he had a concussion or something. He goes with a head tackle by the helmet to the feet, and that got me a little bit scared. But some of these penalties were just so bad. And then some of them, the Eagles shot themselves in the foot with as well. So, I mean, just like you have to be smart if you're the Eagles. There was one play where Terrell Edmonds, and I understand that the Eagles are really struggling with the secondary. I understand that they have a lot of guys that are injured and guys that aren't playing. But the one major thing that you have to do is you can't make silly mistakes. And the roughing play, unnecessary, dude. Absolutely unnecessary. And that definitely was not a good call. That was not a good thing for the Eagles. And I think that actually killed the momentum for their defense on that one drive. There was also a play, too, and I know I'm a little bit all over the place right now, but Fletcher Cox had a really nice block, and the ball should have been picked in the end zone. And instead, wait. Yeah, Fletcher Cox had a block. The ball should have been picked in the end zone. I think it was Josh Joby that was there that probably should have made that catch. I can't seem to remember who it was, but that was a really big play. You can't make those types of mistakes. You got to catch the ball, and you have to, take away those points. And then the fumble in the end zone by Terry McLaurin, you got to get on top of that, dude. You do. You have to get on top of that, and you have to be better in that area. And that was and those little mistakes were definitely not so good whatsoever. Sean Desai's defense today reminded me a little bit, and I hate to say this, but it reminded me a little bit of Jonathan Gannon. I thought that he played a very soft zone, and it wasn't like guys like Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel were getting covered, right? While yes, the personnel matters and you're struggling in the secondary with injuries, you have to play man-to-man. You cannot be letting these guys down in an open field make certain plays like that because they can eat you up. Logan Thomas had a couple of really nice plays, and there was nobody on him. And when the pass rusher's going towards the quarterback and the O-line for the Commanders is doing a good job, you have to try to find ways to make adjustments on the fly. Seriously, you do. That's part of the in-game adjustments, and Sean Desai failed at that today. And that is a little bit of a red flag to me. I hope that that doesn't happen again. I understand that people make mistakes, but soft coverage is not the answer, and you have to make in-game adjustments, and I didn't really see a whole lot of that from Sean Desai, for sure. And that was definitely absolutely concerning. You know, you see Terry McLaurin wide open for a couple of nice catches, and nobody's on him. In what world does that happen? And I hate getting flashbacks of Jonathan Gannon, but absolutely, that's what it reminded me of today. And one of the main reasons why the Commanders stayed in this game is because, well, when Howell's able to throw it down the field and nobody's covering the receivers and Curtis Samuel's left wide open, well, that's what's going to happen. Brown had a couple of plays where, okay, like sometimes you're going to like want to double cover Terry McLaurin and you're going to want to have other guys beat you, like Brown when he had that 35-yard gain or that 35-yard reception. But man, we cannot do this. We cannot continue to go down this road. And this was the first time that I've seen this entire season. Very soft zones today from the defense, and that was not cool. I expected more out of Hassan Reddick today. I thought that maybe he was going to, have a really good game. But my MVP for today, you could say it's Jalen Hurts. You could say that it's Jake Elliott, who is absolutely clutch, by the way. And I trust him with those legs when the game is on the line. I don't care what anybody says. But how about Nicholas Morrow, dude? This is a guy who's 28 years old. He gets cut by the Eagles 3 weeks ago. And my man literally got sent down to the practice squad, and he was like on a mountain, literally said this after the game. He was on a mountain, and then he gets a call from the Eagles because Nakobe Dean's out, and they need somebody to step up. And he comes in today and has 3 sacks. Good for him. Absolutely incredible. And that's what you love to see because he made some incredible plays down the stretch of the game, especially in overtime and at the end of regulation, and they don't win that game without him. As weird as that sounds. Josh Sweat, I thought, had a nice couple of nice plays. Fletcher Cox, man, I understand that the defensive line struggled today, but Fletcher had a couple of really nice plays too, where he was able to get to the quarterback, and Howell didn't really know what to do. And Hassan Reddick almost caused a fumble, but then here comes this dude out of nowhere named Fletcher Cox that's just able to take him down. So that is just unbelievable. He also had the forced fumble when I'm talking about Morrow as well. Great day at the office for him. And I don't know. When you look at the future for the Eagles, man, I don't know what it's going to have in store for him. I know that they love Nakobe Dean. And I know that they're probably going to want to stick to him because, of course, he's younger. But I would ride this out personally because I would ride the hot hand at the linebacker position because when was the last time that the Eagles have actually had a really good linebacking core? Think about it. It really hasn't been too recently. But overall, I'm happy that they were able to get the win. I think that is definitely a plus. This team is 4-0, and the fact that they're doing this after the Super Bowl, it's pretty impressive. It is. It's absolutely impressive. But with that being said, we can still criticize things about the way that they're playing and the types of things that are still going on and even the little mistakes because it's not perfect. And A.J. Brown even said, I can't directly quote this, but just off the top of my head, he said that he likes it that we're not, that they're not perfect, that they still have a lot of adjustments to do, because he still thinks that this team can be really scary and that they're only going to grow. And I agree with that 1,000%. I will say that I'm not a big fan of what A.J. Brown did after he caught that touchdown, but I'm happy that he was able to man up to it. I understand that some people think like the league is soft and whatever, but, you got to watch yourself, man. You just do. You can't be making silly mistakes out there on the field, especially after you catch a touchdown, because you don't want to let Washington back into this game. And I'm happy that he manned up to it. I'm happy that Jalen Hurts was the one that held him accountable for it, because that means that Jalen's locked in. You gotta keep it cool. And you have to kind of find a line to just, stay in bounds, if you will. Can't be making these really bad mistakes. Terrell Edmonds today, man. I talked about the penalty that he had. I don't know, dude. I don't like him in the slot. I don't like him at safety. I don't know what to do with him. I thought he had a really bad game today. But I don't know where they go from here in regards to him. But that's certainly something to be addressed. The trade deadline, I think that the main thing that you're going to have to do if you're Howie Roseman is you're going to have to get another cornerback, or you're going to have to get somebody else in the secondary. Maybe go after a safety or somebody that can really help out in the backfield, because when you're playing opponents like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Miami Dolphins, or guys that have dual threats, if you will, in regards to the receiving core, you need guys in the secondary to step up, and it can't just be the Darius Slay show. It can't just be one guy that's out there making big plays. You need a couple of other people that can cover some guys, and CJ was one of those guys last year, and you're definitely missing him for sure. You are. So I think that that's going to have to be addressed in the trade deadline, and that is their biggest weakness right now. Jake Elliott's great. I thought that he had some incredible kicks today, and this dude almost continues to be automatic. I think that he's personally one of the best kickers, if not the best kicker in the league, right behind Justin Tucker, but it's pretty close. And the fact that the Eagles just have such a great kicker, it's unbelievable, because that definitely makes a lot of things easier, and Jalen doesn't have to continue to drive down the field in that very last play, and he trusts his kicker, and, well, that's game over. That's how it is. So, anyhow, I want to get to your comments, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say. I really do. Keep feeding DeAndre Swift. That was the one thing that I kept saying, and I loved it when they were just doing that in that, I think it was the third drive of the game, where they just kept attacking the middle and just running with DeAndre. This is the bread and butter of this team. If you're winning in the trenches, you're winning the game. And this team was not able to win the clock in the first quarter or even in the second quarter. The Commanders were really controlling the clock today. And they were behind, and yet they somehow came on. And they did a pretty good job, and they were able to get the win. There's a lot of things to think about. And I'm kind of all over the place. But at the end of the day, a win's a win. And I want to get you guys on here. If you guys want to join the Discord server, please hop on. Please join. I'm sure that there's a lot of other things that I'm missing out on, but I'm really trying to cover all angles of this for sure. So I talked about Morrow. I talked about Johnson, Brian Johnson. I didn't think that he had his A-ball today, but Jalen had an incredible day at the office, and this was his best game by far this season. All right. Want to get to your comments, and of course we're going to go to the phones. Darth Pooh's right here. All right, let's get to Darth Pooh. So Darth Pooh, if you want to come on, raise your hand, and I will get you to come on here. If not, there you go. Okay, let's get Darth Pooh to come on. And again, if you guys want to come on, by all means, please do. All right, Darth Pooh, what's going on? You're on the Eagles postgame show with JJ. What's going on, dude? Nope. I can't hear you, my guy. Hello? Something's wrong with your mic. Well, while we're trying to figure that out, we'll read some comments. Darthpoo, can you hear me? Because I can't hear you, my guy. If somebody else wants to come on here too, by all means, come on. Hello, JJ. All right, so let me see. There we go. What's up, Darthpoo? How you doing, man?
Living the dream.
Nice.
Fighting that yearly sinus infection, but
not fun.
I gotta say. So if you watch the game,
yep,
through and through, and I'm gonna watch more of the film again tomorrow because you gotta give it a fair shake.
You do.
Teams are very intimidated by the Eagles, as they well should be. The Commanders are a good team. They were getting clearly frustrated about the spark. It's just we keep getting caught up on very dumb adjustments and very dumb play calling to the point where you're right. Kenneth Gainwell on a draw play makes 0 sense at 3rd and 2. Like, I don't know what you're doing.
Just why?
You shouldn't be running.
Why?
There's no room there, and you're paying an amazing, rush defense here.
Yep.
So there's just, it's very, very silly. I think they're trying tricks. I think they're trying to be clever, and you're just more athletic than these teams, and you should be sticking to that to get the reps in and just running the ball down their throat.
Yeah. No, I'm 1,000% with you. And I noticed that the one thing that this team did today, when it was working really well, is they were running the ball through DeAndre Swift, and DeAndre Swift was making so many great plays. Literally, I was thinking to myself today that Miles Sanders was getting these holes, like these same holes over the last 3 to 4 years. And yet I see what DeAndre Swift is able to do, and it's just night and day that DeAndre Swift is the more talented running back, and the fact that Miles wanted as much money as he got from the Carolina Panthers, good for Howie, for not paying him and for getting somebody like DeAndre Swift, who made some really nice catches too, by the way. And Miles Sanders had a lot of problems catching the football. But no, just to your point, I was a little bit upset, when you're running the ball with DeAndre and he's running up the middle and it's working, literally Brian Johnson was sticking to the game plan and was just continuing to run down the middle and just run the ball down their throats. And then you put in Kenneth Gainwell in the third quarter of the game. What's the logic behind it?
I think Gainwell had 2 amazing breakout plays that kind of made Johnson a little questionable. Oh, do I burn out DeAndre? Do I give Gainwell a few more snaps to kind of give a little rest time in between? The RBBC is obviously, it's evolved, right? But at the same time, there's 2 things I noticed about, and I said today while watching about DeAndre Swift that I made comments on. The first one I said is it's like I'm watching someone play Madden the way he just moves. It looks uncanny. It looks unnatural. It is wild, and he just finds the wildest spots to take. The second thing I noticed about him was the guy doesn't quit on an option.
No,
he never does. And this is where he's getting his 4, 5, 6, 7 extra yards, and it reminds me of McCoy, right? When you just give the ball to Shady.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and he's making plays for himself. And as I mentioned before, Miles was getting the same exact holes that the offensive line was giving him. And it's just night and day how much better DeAndre Swift is, single-handedly.
When you got Kelsey up front, everything is you have options to choose from because the guy's going to pick up his side he needs to pick up.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely, for sure. It is just so wild to me how much of an impact he's been able to make, and I still can't even understand why in week 1 they totally forgot that they had him and they just never utilized him at all whatsoever. That's a whole nother story. But I wanted to also ask you, what did you see from Jalen Hurts today? Because I personally thought that this was his best game of the season. I thought that the reads were perfect. I thought that he was also making the best decisions. The long ball seemed to be working, and everybody was connecting on all cylinders, and the chemistry just looked so flawless between him and A.J. Brown.
I think he's starting to fill into his Cam Newton size now, right?
Yes.
Where he last year was his marked physical stature. He put on a lot of lean muscle. This year, he put on just a lot of bulk. And I think it took him maybe this long to get the wheels. You saw the wheels were burning more this week. You saw the arm in play. I think he's starting to realize, I should probably start using this side and lean into it a little bit more. There was definitely flashes of his speed back in there.
Oh yeah,
he's still conservative. He was very conservative on some of the up the middle stuff, which he's learning. It's nice to see that he is not trying to harm his body. He knows he's a franchise, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also knows when to slide, because the one thing that we criticized about him last year, especially early on, was, oh man, you're getting all these holes and you're getting these blocks from the offensive line, but if you're going to get hard hits, that's not good. And you don't want to get a concussion because you're the leader of the team. So I thought that he did a pretty good job at that today for sure. But any final thoughts?
A few give-ups on that offensive line in the pocket today. But there's like that I get beat, there's got to be someone there mentality. I need them to clean it up, thinking that they're the only guy that can save the play. I need that hustle to be seen a little bit more.
Let me ask you something really quickly before I let you go. Zacchaeus, made a really nice catch today after he dropped the first pass, literally right after that play happened. And I thought that throw was right on the money by Jalen. Comes up with Jalen then throws a really nice play to him up the middle again. Do you like him over Quez?
So what has Quez produced for us, right?
Yep.
So I think they're trying new options with Zacchaeus, and I like the fact that they didn't give up on him after that one little snafu. But Quez has loose hands to me. Yeah, the speed's there. I know his feet's there, his speed's there, his route running is there.
But you got to catch.
You got to catch it, buddy.
You got to catch it.
So I think Jalen's starting to look at more options, and he's trying to give these other guys some breakout plays, and I think that worked in our favor today.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. Dude, thanks so much for coming on here. I hope to see you on tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Phillies tomorrow, so talk about that Marlins matchup. So
always love the show, JJ. Thanks so much.
Of course, anytime. Thanks so much for coming on here, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, man, let's see. What other comments do we have on here? I'm not happy because I'm a Bengals fan, says BT Dubs. Really missing CJ Gardner-Johnson right now. Yeah, dude. I mean, going back to what I was saying before, this team is really struggling in the secondary, and I think it would be foolish to say that Howie Roseman doesn't need to get anybody in the secondary at the trade deadline, because he does. I want to see somebody else that can play the slot. I want somebody else that can also, be able to be a cornerback that can kind of give Darius Slay a little bit of some slack, So, he doesn't always have to cover, the best receivers in the world, because when you're going up against a duo like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, or you're going up against Travis Kelce and some other really good receivers on the Kansas City Chiefs, it's really hard, and it's not so easy, and you're going to have to try to have guys that can really play good man-to-man coverage and really good zone coverage, especially if Patrick Mahomes or somebody like that's throwing the ball deep, and they're not getting to the quarterback. That's what the secondary's for. So just keep your eye out on that. But besides that, that's going to wrap things up here, all right? My name is Jason Joseph. If you guys want to come on here in the future, we'll be back on here next week and talk more birds. We'll have our next play-by-play cast on here on Sunday as well. Cannot wait for it. 4-0, baby. 4-0, let's go. I'll catch you all in the next one. Have yourselves a great rest of your night. Peace.